Third-party games and Nintendo are two things that will probably never reach perfect equilibrium. And yet there are a lot of major franchises that have found their way to Nintendo Switch in 2019. Things like Final Fantasy, Mortal Kombat, and Resident Evil. So today we're looking at the first half of the year in terms of third-party support. How has it been? Is it enough? And what do we expect going forward? Gabe, the third-party discussion is one that has raged on since the beginning of Switch. And it takes an interesting turn this month because we just found out that Mortal Kombat 11, a brand new release on Nintendo Switch, achieved the top spot of the month for the platform, which is the first time that a third-party game has accomplished such a feat since Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle back in 2017.
Yeah, Mortal Kombat 11 is a shining example of how third party should be done on Nintendo Switch. And Zach, if we look at this on paper, it is a lot of games. I'm actually going to read through some of the major ones, right? We're going to leave some stuff off probably, but these are the big games from third party in the first half of the year. We already mentioned Mortal Kombat 11. Awesome. Darksiders 1, the Remastered edition. That game is the best port on Switch in my opinion. I love it. After that, we have Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice, Sniper Elite V2 Remastered, which also happens to promise more Sniper Elite is coming to the platform at some point. Saints Row the Third, which is probably my least favorite Switch port. Then we have a bunch of Final Fantasy games. We have 3 Resident Evil games. We have Team Sonic Racing, which is the other brand new game out of the bunch. And Assassin's Creed 3 Remastered. Again, on paper, this just seems like so much third party for the first half of the year.
Right, and with Nintendo backloading their software, third parties have kind of had to carry a lot of the weight, along with indies, of course, for these first 5-6 months. Now, on paper, you hear that, wow, Final Fantasy, Resident Evil, Darksiders, Saints Row, Sniper Elite, Mortal Kombat, they all found their way to Switch, and that sounds incredible. And then I look and I say, dang, if you pinch out Team Sonic Racing and Mortal Kombat 11, we could be a console from a decade ago for most of these. Which, it has its perks. Being able to take some really good games from really big franchises on the go is awesome. And sometimes the port is really good, more often than not lately, and sometimes the price is right. But have you felt fulfilled, Gabe, with your Darksiders Remastered edition, with your Assassin's Creed 3, with your Final Fantasy X-2?
Okay, I feel fulfilled with third party. Straight up, I do. I don't feel like... Look, it's been way worse. The situation for third party has been worse in the history of Nintendo. We know this. Now we are starting to get some more day-and-date releases. Doom Eternal's coming, Wolfenstein Youngblood's coming. We have the sports games all coming that are all hypothetically going to be day-and-date releases. Hellblade, right? That's another good example for a game for me that I never played. So for me, it was a brand new experience on Switch, and I loved it. And I still like going back to the past. Sometimes it's a very far away past. I'm going to harken back to a recent release, Resident Evil 4 for Nintendo Switch. It's a really good port. Now, the controls are a little bit clunky and whatnot, but still, I love that game so much. I think it's an all-time classic. Having that on the go with me is great. We mentioned that like Darksiders, in my opinion, is like the best port. I played through like half that game unintentionally. Like I just kept playing because it was so fun for me. And so much of this has taken up my time in good ways. There are things that I maybe didn't enjoy as much, and I'll give the shout out to Saints Row and Assassin's Creed 3. I don't foresee myself ever playing those games again. I think Assassin's Creed 3 is probably the worst Assassin's Creed game in for me at least. So I don't want to go back and replay it anymore. There's going to be winners. There's going to be like losers as far as these things go. But Zach, one thing I wanted to mention, Sniper Elite V2 Remastered came out on every other platform at the same time. So many of these are available on other platforms. So it's not only a Nintendo problem necessarily. I guess the only difference would be that we're not getting the big stuff. Like we're not getting Anthem, the Division thing. Well, I mean, RIP Anthem, I guess. But all those things aren't on Switch. We're just getting the lower tier of the third-party games, I guess.
We're getting the remakes, the remasters, right? It's no problem that Sniper Elite V2 Remastered is on Switch, and kudos to them for putting it out at the same price on all the platforms. It's just that the other consoles, they get more, right? This isn't their entire catalog. So I would love to have all these games. I think bringing the classics to the Switch, the most perfect platform that you can take on the go and have this library of digital classics from across generations. But I wish that more companies will look to Mortal Kombat 11 as an example of how to do this in a really cool and exciting and successful way, right? They hired a port studio in Shiver Entertainment who did a knockout job on the port. They brought the game to Switch with nearly all of the content. It runs pretty darn well. People are enjoying it, and it takes the top spot. So hopefully that sets a new trend of developers and companies saying, hey, maybe we can bring our newer game to the table and have it even beat out Nintendo games. Because I think it's important to split this list, right? You look at something like Hellblade and say, that game, it's pretty new. Even Sniper Elite V2 Remastered, like that's a new remaster of the game that, you're right, release day and date on every platform. Some of these, though, are pulling from much deeper in said franchise's catalog. And I don't know that they should be equivalent, right? To me, getting a Hellblade is a lot cooler than getting Resident Evil 4. Now, you might specifically prefer Resident Evil 4, but just in terms of the timetable of the game releases, I think it's important to distinguish that some of these are far older than others.
I guess it's just hard to please everyone, right? Because we recently discovered that we have a little bit of a younger audience sometimes, right? Some of those people didn't even play Resident Evil 4. So it's impossible to cater to absolutely everyone. And I feel like so many of these games aren't catered to us at all because A, we've probably played them more than once in a lot of occasions. And B, even if we do really like them, we play them again for the first time and they feel a little clunkier than we remember, things like that. But I still think it's important to have them on there, even if it's just for the really hardcore fans. There's people that love Final Fantasy that bought all of them, even though they probably aren't finished them in between the releases of each of them. But yeah, I saw people buy 10 and then get 12 right away, after whoa, you guys aren't even playing these.
Well, I think there's a difference between dabble and dive, and to me it sounds like you've dabbled in a lot of these, but
all of them.
If they're a new game, you're probably diving much deeper. And I don't know, I like diving more than dabbling, especially with some of these costing hefty prices. It's not like they're all $5 to $10 games, right?
No,
specifically going to call it Resident Evil being $30 each. Dabbling sometimes isn't good enough, but it sounds like in general, you've had a really good first half of the year, mainly thanks to the ports, for the most part, being very strong.
And I'll tell you this, Mortal Kombat 11 on Nintendo Switch, I probably played 50 hours of, right?
That's crazy.
It's a lot. Saints Row the Third, maybe 2. Assassin's Creed 3, maybe 2. And I'm never touching those games again on Switch, unless I have to for whatever reason. So you're right, there is a correlation there. If a game's newer, I'm going to spend more time in it. I'm going to dive into it instead of dabble, like you mentioned.
Right. And let me speak for the listeners just for a moment. I think when you aren't wanting to review and cover every single game on a platform for your YouTube channel, it would be frustrating to drop the money and then spend an hour in a game. So I wonder if, outside of the ones that they've never experienced, maybe this isn't as exciting as it is to us because we have a necessity to check everything out. And for me, I fall more in that camp of, yeah, I really have liked some of these, getting to go back and play a little Darksiders with the awesome switching modes where you can prioritize, frame rate or resolution. That's really cool, and I loved tasting that game again. But I have to be honest and say that as much as I love being able to have big franchises on Switch, Resident Evil, Final Fantasy, Assassin's Creed, Mortal Kombat, Darksiders, I still long for more. I still wish for more. Civ 6 did fantastic for 2K. They said they took note. Will they really? What will be announced at E3? Ubisoft, we mentioned them as the last company to have a third-party game in Mario plus Rabbids. I mean, it's still got Nintendo, but they were the last one to take the top spot for Switch in a month. What will they do this year? Will they really come out in full force and bring something new? We know that Bethesda is going to do their part. We know that the sports titles from EA and 2K hopefully continue to do their parts and maybe even in a bigger, better way this season. But will others take notice? We know that Devil May Cry is coming from Capcom. Are we doomed to Doom being the only big new thing? I mean, Wolfenstein will be there as well, but please just enjoy my pun.
Yes, I did enjoy your pun. Zach, can I predict one more third-party game that hasn't been announced or teased or anything for? And I just thought of this randomly. Can I? It has nothing to do with this.
Yeah.
All right. You know what I think's going to happen? I think we've heard this is a rumor, so this has been teased, just not on Switch. Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite came out, did terribly, right? You remember?
Yes.
All right. There is word that Capcom is going to re-release the game as Marvel vs. Capcom 4, but they're going to introduce like all the X-Men and all the characters that weren't in the third one that people wanted. They're going to change up the battle stuff so it's more like the ones that we like, and it's not Infinite anymore. Now they just rebranded as 4, and they're re-releasing it. I have a feeling that would come day and date to Switch because, dude, it's a fighting game. And Capcom now loves Switch. I have a feeling something like that's going to happen. And even things like that, as far as third party, to make the connection back to what we're actually talking about, things like that, I'm all for as well.
Yeah, really for me, it's like anything that is new is a lot more fun because most of these recent releases that eventually mosey their way over to Switch, I have played. Some of the older stuff, not so much, but I, as a gamer, struggle to go back multiple generations and find a lot of fun. It's just not something that I enjoy very much. So for me, it has been very samey. Like Mortal Kombat 11 was phenomenal, and I applaud that so much. The rest of the stuff, they're dabble games. They're try them out, and it's cute that I can take it on the go. And in theory, they're like fun to have, but with so much new coming out, I would rather spend my time even on the indie scene with Katana Zero, SteamWorld Quest, and Ape Out than I would reliving the moments of Saints Row the Third.
If you are going to continue to just like toss Team Sonic Racing aside, you and I are going to have words. That's a new game, man. You can dive deep in that.
It is a new game. You can dive deep. Team Sonic Racing definitely deserves more applause. I mean, I'm personally more excited for Crash Team Racing, even though that's a throwback, new back. I don't know what we want to call these games. I mean, the whole naming convention of remixes, remakes, remasters, redos, like it's pretty confusing at this point. But one thing is clear. We do have more big franchise names on the platform than ever before. And for some people, that will be plenty. And for others, they still want the newness. Now, we'll have to wait and see at E3 which way things go. But make sure to let us know in the comments down below how you're feeling about third-party support thus far in 2019. Definitely give us your full take. We want to hear it. We'll be reading it. And we'll be curious to see how things fare once the year eventually wraps. In the meantime, everybody, thanks so much for watching. Have a fantastic day. For myself and Gabe, SwitchForce, out.